Welcome back to an unexpected part 2 of task 3, which is the drawing of the 3D treads. I didn't realise that the screencast software only has 15 minutes on it before it cut off there, so apologies for that. So what we should have is a front elevation, left elevation, right elevation, top plan with some dimensions on them, all correctly dimensioned within the viewports, and a 3D. I just want to show you something to illustrate the how live the drawing is. If I go back to my design layer again, and I will just select the treads again. If I go to the 3D modeling tool set down here, which looks like a little spiral, and choose the fillet edge tool, if I put in a radius, so it'll be how curvy the nose of the treads are, so put 50 in there, and I highlight the top tread and click the little tick, it then rounds off the top tread there. See? I must have had both of them selected there by accident, or it was a leftover from the previous. But anyway, you can see what to do. So the middle one isn't, the top two are. The point is, if I go back to the sheet layer again, you'll see that that rounding is pulled through onto the technical drawings. So these are live documents. The reason I did that little demo was to show you that these are live documents, and that anything you do back in the design layer will pull through into the sheet layer until you export this as a PDF. So just be careful in changing anything back in your design layer. The idea is to get your design layer finished and then represent it on a piece of paper onto your sheet layer. I've gone zooming mad there. Back into the design layer again, there's a couple of other things that we can use. Viewport crops that I was speaking to you briefly about before. So this circle tool here, and with the layer plane active, if I draw it, it will draw it as if it's on the floor, the same floor that the treads are sitting on, which isn't really what I want to do at the moment. I can align a plane to the back of the screen, so virtually we're in a custom view just now, so any circle I draw will be just as if it's stuck to the back of the laptop screen and not necessarily interacting with the 3D world. But by doing that, I can do something called a viewport crop, create viewport, and it'll ask me, do I want to use it as a crop? Yes. And then let's make it 1 to 20. It's a custom view. We'll leave it shaded and go OK, and that can pull through that kind of zoomed in detail. Maybe make it a little bit bigger, make it a 1 to 10. So that might be some detail that you might want to put some notes in to say about what the rounding on those noses are, or how deadly it might be as in a real scenario. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but who knows. The last thing I want to do in this screencast is to put a title block and a border on this with a scale, which is really important. So back in your dims and notes down here again, you'll see a title block border tool. So we'll click that, and we'll just bring our cursor onto the sheet layer and click again. So it locks to the center and sizes to the sheet layer, so you don't really need to do anything. Just make sure you click once. Okay. Title block border settings. We will go into that, and I will say, like, let's have a look. Sheet borders. The margins are kind of a little bit big when you're dealing with A3 paper, so I'm going to make the margins 5, and then these are zoned as well. You might have noticed that there was like a 1, 2, 3 and an A and B. I'm going to get rid of the horizontal zones. See if we can see that behind there. Yeah, see 1, 2, 3. I've got rid of those by saying 0 and then OK. So that should, give it a second, it'll pop back and that'll make it a thinner border with no zones. I've still got that tool selected, so be careful I don't click again and place another border on top. That has happened before with some students who didn't understand why they had multiple borders. The next thing I want to do is click and highlight the title block border, and we want to go to the title block manager. I've got multiple files open, so I'm just going to the active file only. And we're going to select just a simple, use the style, simple title block here. Okay, so this is within annotations, title block, Vectorworks libraries, simple title block. There, select that, and again, I was doing some testing before, so it's asking me if I want to overwrite things that I've done before, which is fine. And again, without changing anything at the moment, I'm just going to OK and see what that looks like. So that'll plop a title block down in the bottom right hand corner with some information on it. It will bring in your file name, whatever you called it, 3D Tread 3D, I've got there, 3D Treads. There's probably one bit of information missing from that, who drew it, and really the scale. You really want to put a scale on this. So we'll go back into the title block manager again, active file only. It might not show that if you've only got one file open, but I've got multiple files open. So drawn by, so you can't see drawn by there. You sometimes have to go next, and there's drawn by there. So I'll put SM there, and where it says drawing number, maybe drawing number there, I'll do 1 to 25, and it's always good to put at A3. Okay, and that should populate these boxes with the information. So it doesn't really matter, it says drawing number and I put 1 to 25 at A3, as long as you put a scale on it somewhere. At the very least, use the text tool and write it somewhere, but always, always, always scale your work. Okay, so I think that border's gone a bit, title block border settings, seems to have pulled in a little bit of a thicker border. It's because it's gone back to a thicker border again because I used a style. I can convert to unstyled here. Shouldn't really be doing sheet border unstyled, and then that should let me go 5, 5, 5, 5, and OK. There. So I just forced it to make a slightly thinner border. When you bring in a style, like a whole style, it is the whole border, but the whole border and all the things that make up the title block. But as I've just shown, you can still manipulate it. So that's what I want from this task 3. Sorry, this is part 2 of the 3. This one I want to see a left, a right, a front elevation, a top plan, an isometric, a zoomed in cropped viewport, a sheet border, and a title block. Okay, that's what I'm looking for in this one. So enjoy doing that.